Another week, another episode of Plumecast, episode number 10, and an exciting episode, or just an exciting time in video games as we get closer and closer to E3. 1 week from today, we are going to be sitting down together and watching the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, which is probably the most excited I've been that I can remember, maybe in my lifetime, that I've been for a video game event. Because, I mean, we got a lot to look forward to with Xbox and Xbox Game Studios, and it's the first show that Xbox and Bethesda are going to be together. So that's very exciting. So welcome back, everyone. Episode number 10. As always, this week on the episode, drinking a beer, and the beer that I am drinking is called Flying Monkeys. It's called Worlds Away. It's a modern lager. And it's by Flying Monkeys Craft Brewery, and it's a very funky looking can, and it's a good tasting beer. It's another Ontario beer. As you know, I am Canadian. This one is from Barrie, Ontario. So check them out if you guys are in the area, or if you get these beers in your beer store. It's a very tasty lager. I do like it, and I definitely would recommend it. It's a little bit of a lighter beer compared to what I had last week, which I had Fin du Monde last week, which is a 9% beer. This one's a 4.7% alcohol beer. But it's very refreshing, especially on a hot day, which I've been getting a lot of hot days around here recently. Surprising for the time of the year, but it's a great beer. Just sit back and relax. So as always, let me know what you guys are drinking in the comments below, and give me some suggestions. I've been able to actually find some of the suggestions. I think the last two episodes were actually beers I was drinking based off of suggestions from the comments. I do mark them down, and I do go and look for them when I go and do my weekly beer run. So let me know what you're drinking, and leave some suggestions down below. Now, what I've been playing this week has been kind of like just a mix of a bunch of stuff. Again, Mass Effect Legendary. I'm going to be playing that for a while. Been playing Mass Effect 2, and every time I play it, it's just amazing what BioWare was able to do with the dialogue and everything. And it's kind of makes you sad when you see the fall of BioWare, where they are today. And I'm hoping one day they can get back to that with the next Dragon Age game, the next Mass Effect game. I'm hoping one day they can get back to it. Everyone's very skeptical on them. A lot of it has to do with them being under EA, right? So it's just, you see the fall from grace, because those games were just absolutely incredible. So I've been playing Mass Effect 2, been playing some MLB The Show, Road to the Show game mode. It's a ton of fun. I'm playing as a third baseman. I didn't want to be a pitcher, because I wanted to just kind of be really good hitter, and I wanted to be able to kind of get through a bunch of games just by getting better at hitting, rather than if you're pitching, you got to pitch. If you're a starter, you got to pitch the entire game. So I wasn't a pitcher. I made my guy a single position player as a third baseman and a power hitter. And it's just a ton of fun. Road to the Show. It's a really good RPG, sports RPG. I know a lot of people think about MLB The Show as mainly just a baseball sports game, which it is. However, if you like sports RPGs, I mean, Road to the Show is a great sports RPG to jump into and just try out. If you're not somebody who generally likes to play sports games, but you wanted to try just maybe a different RPG, you could try Road to the Show. I jumped into the original Psychonauts because I want to beat that game again before Psychonauts 2 comes out, and that looks like it's going to be imminent, its release in the next few months. And it's such a funny game. I love the universe of Psychonauts. I love the characters. I love the colors. I love the environments of it. It's not the best aged game in terms of gameplay. I'll admit, it's not like this game where you could pick it up today and be like, wow, this feels like a modern game. It doesn't feel like a modern game. You may play through it and you may not finish it because of the gameplay, but it's still worth trying and playing, at least for a bit, even if you don't finish it before Psychonauts 2 comes out, just to get a taste of what is to come from Psychonauts 2, which I think is looking very, very good. And I'm trying to think if I played anything else. I'm sure I did. I had a day where I literally went on to Gamepass and I just jumped into game after game after game. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is another one I played this week. Yeah, that's it. I'm trying to think what else I played. I think those are the 3 or 4 main games that I've jumped into this week. And It's one of those weeks where you're just kind of not really sure what you want to play, and you kind of want to try a bunch of different things out. And that's the beauty of Game Pass. That's where Game Pass comes in, and it makes it the best place to play, because you can just try a bunch of stuff and have fun and not feel like you need to force yourself to be stuck on one game. So been playing a bunch of different games. Let me know what you guys have been playing in the comments below. Now, this week's show is going to be a little different. I'm not going to go over a bunch of different topics. I just want to talk about E3 and the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, and just kind of give my, I wouldn't say predictions, because they're not like too out of this world. I think that a lot of the things that I think are going to show up, they're pretty likely are going to show up. So just kind of want to give what I think Xbox is going to do at their show. So without further ado, let's jump right into it.
All right, so we are entering into the most exciting time of the year when it comes to video games, and it's a bigger time, or a bigger deal this time, because of the fact that we did not have E3 last year, and to me that was just a huge void in the video game industry. I know a lot of people out there think that E3 is kind of useless and we don't need it anymore because of the digital age and everybody kind of doing their own directs, with Nintendo Direct and the PlayStation 1, the State of Play, whatever it's called, and then Xbox able to do their own things, which they all did last year, but it was a lot more spread out and it wasn't as exciting. There wasn't as much hype building up to all of these shows, I don't think, even though we were on the verge of a brand new console launch. But luckily this year, E3 is back, and it's going to be an all digital show. It kicks off this upcoming week, I think the first day, June 12th, which is next Saturday. However, there's some stuff leading up all the way starting on Monday, which is crazy to think about, going through the week leading up to June 12th. And the first thing on June 7th and 8th is not on this Summer Games Fest thing, but I'll just pull it up here because it's actually super cool. And I just saw this today. It's actually a Game Pass thing, which I didn't even know was a thing, and I never heard of it before. This may be the first time they're doing it. I think it is the first time they're doing it, but it was shown off by Xbox France, or Xbox Game Pass France. They announced it first, and I'm assuming we'll get some sort of announcement in English at some point, but it's called Game Pass Fest, and it's going to be on June 7th and 8th, and there's more information to come, but that's all we know right now. Called Xbox Game Pass Fest. I have no idea what this means. I have no idea if it's going to be like just a fan thing where they show off games within Game Pass, or are they going to announce a bunch of new Game Pass games coming, and why they're doing it just before E3. But it's exciting. June 7th is like, I'm going to check out and see what this means, and I'm hoping that they have an announcement from Xbox Canada, Xbox America, and have it in English and give us more information as to what this means. So keep an eye out for that. But besides that, we have Summer Games Fest on June 10th, which is starting, and it is going to be, they say they're going to have world premieres, live music, and more. And it's Jeff Keighley's thing, I believe he's hosting it, who is a huge name in the industry. And with Summer Games Fest, we don't know what they're going to show. I personally don't think that like they're going to do anything too crazy to take away from the big first party shows from like Xbox and Nintendo mainly, but I think they will show probably one or two big third party IPs that are coming out cross platform, but to all platforms, multi-platform, on PlayStation, on Xbox, on PC, and potentially the Nintendo Switch. But one of the biggest rumors right now circulating around going on with Summer Games Fest is that they may potentially show off the long awaited Elden Ring at this show, and this comes via Jeff Grubb. So I'll just quickly play here what he says so you guys can hear right out of his mouth, so I don't put any words into his mouth. But what he's saying about Elden Ring, and them potentially, he thinks that they have the actual trailer on hard drives right now.
Our Elden Ring yesterday, looking around, and because I was saying, like, I was I'm optimistic about Elden Ring again, and people are like, oh, Jeff just wanting attention, and of course I just want attention. That's the job. Really, I can't control it if you give me attention or not. So if that bothers you, I would suggest just don't give me attention, and it works itself out, right? But if you want to know why I'm confident, let's talk about that. I'll just say it. Keighley has it. I don't know what the Summer Game Fest looks like. I have no insight into that. No idea what that looks like. So when the June 10th, the date that the Summer Game Fest kicks off and has like a big show, I think that's where it should be. That's other people seem confident about that. I won't like confirm 100%, but like where else would he show it? Like he would want to show it there.
All right, so I mean, there you have it. He is pretty much here saying that Jeff Keighley has the actual trailer and teaser or whatever it is for Elden Ring, and the fact that he's hosting Summer Games Fest, he's going to be hosting this show here. He's going to be the one that wants to show it off on June 10th as like the big world premiere that kicks off all of these events going on throughout the week. And I think that would be a very smart move because Elden Ring obviously is such a hyped up game because of who is making it and that style of game. There is a rabid fan base for those soul style games, right? Now, me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of those style of games. Like, I'm not that excited for Elden Ring, if I'm being completely honest. I'm definitely going to check out the trailer and see what the game is about and all that kind of stuff for sure. And I will probably pick it up and play it at some point, but I'm not here salivating, waiting to see what Elden Ring is about. But for a lot of people, they are. So starting off these events with Summer Games Fest showing off Elden Ring would be a very big and smart move. And then we move on here. We have pretty much the entire schedule. Now, I'm not going to go through everything. I mean, we start off here with Ubisoft Forward. We kind of already know what they are showing off, like Rainbow Six Quarantine, which is like that co-op tactical shooter. When they first showed that new Rainbow Six game, I thought it was going to be the replacement for Rainbow Six Siege, but it seems like it isn't, and it's a co-op game, and Rainbow Six Siege is still thriving, so it makes sense, right? They're going to want to continue to keep Rainbow Six Siege as that competitive shooter with esports and all that kind of stuff. And they're going to be showing off a bunch of other stuff. I think they said Riders Republic, we'll probably see that, a game that I'm actually really excited for. It looks really cool. It's like a big extreme sports MMO. It was supposed to be out in February. It got delayed, and I'm assuming they're going to show it off now again, give us more gameplay of it, and then release it relatively soon. I'm sure we'll see like the Division Heartland, which was that free-to-play Division game that they announced just a little while back. And then we'll see some other stuff from them, like Far Cry 6 and whatever. And what I'm hoping, if there's one prediction I would love to come true when it comes to Ubisoft Forward, even if as it comes to E3 in general as a entire show, is that Ubisoft announces finally a brand new full-fledged Splinter Cell game. Because all we're seeing recently from Ubisoft, even though I'm sure they see the community outcry for it and that so many people want to play a new Splinter Cell game, it would sell so well, is they've just been putting Sam Fisher as like a cameo in a bunch of other games, like what they did with Rainbow Six Siege. But yeah, I am looking forward to it. I also kind of would love to see them give us some gameplay or something of Beyond Good and Evil 2. I mean, I think they showed that off at E3 2017 initially, and we really haven't seen anything more from that. But yeah, Ubisoft Forward, I know some people may think it's boring. They're going to be showing off stuff that we already have heard about or already have seen, but I would love to see deeper dives into a lot of these games. But then we move on here to the biggest one of them all. I'm sure the one that everyone is most excited for, especially if you are on my channel, and it is the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase on June 13th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, this is, I've said this in my last podcast, I think the biggest show in Xbox history, biggest E3 at least in Xbox history, because it's the first time that they will have Bethesda under them, part of Xbox Game Studios, and it is probably the longest drought that we've waited for a first-party Xbox game, especially with the release of a brand new console that came out in November. We haven't had a first-party game yet, and we're not going to get that until sometime in the holiday season. So you have people here just chomping at the bit, waiting to see what is coming from the Xbox Game Studios. Now, Xbox and Microsoft have done a great job with the Xbox Series X and S up until now to make the console still a worthy console to have, or still a console that, even though there are no first party games, you still have tons of content to enjoy with Xbox Game Pass and with the updates to backwards compatibility. So I
to me personally, am not that disappointed that we haven't had a first party game yet, but it's starting to get to that point where I want something soon. And we're getting Halo Infinite in the holiday season, so that's perfect for me because it's the game out of all of the games that are going to be shown off at this year's E3, and just in general in the video game world, a game that I'm always the most excited for, as it is potentially my favorite video game franchise of all time. It's up there for sure, and Gears is up there as well, but I think Halo may edge out Gears just a little bit for me, just because of the nostalgic factor of Halo Combat Evolved with the original Xbox. I think that's what really gets it up there. And plus, I mean, the multiplayer, I like the Halo multiplayer more so than I do like the Gears multiplayer, but I do like the first Gears of War multiplayer is probably some of the most fun I've ever had in multiplayer. I remember coming home after high school with all my friends on the 360 every day and playing Gears of War multiplayer. But we're not here to talk about the nostalgia. We're here to talk about the future of video games and with the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase. So this is a huge show. And I think what they're going to show off is, it's not like anything too that we're not expecting. I mean, there may be some IP acquisitions or other acquisitions that would surprise a lot of people, because we have been seeing some rumors. Like the most recent rumor that we've heard, which should definitely 150% be taken with a grain of salt, comes from Carrick from ACG on a recent podcast. He pretty much said here that he had heard Microsoft is looking to purchase a game franchise and that he is confident they will get some existing IPs that may get announced at the show. But he also clarified his statement on that, just pretty much saying that any rumor that he has said about Microsoft announcing an IP that they bought at E3 for sure is full of shit, because you have to listen to the entire context of the podcast and the stuff that he says. I mean, context is always key in everything in life, especially when it comes to video game rumors. So he's not saying that it's a for sure thing that they are going to announce a new IP at E3. But then we get more stuff like this. This just is from Jez Corden saying that he has very good rumors that Microsoft has acquired some IP, but ones that he's heard about are not like AAA hype level stuff, and they may in fact be part of a studio acquisition. And he thinks there's a very good chance that at least one of the acquisitions will be announced at the show. So there's two things here to think about. One, they are still actively going out and acquiring IPs and studios and still doing that kind of stuff. Now, many of them going forward are most likely not going to be these massive AAA acquisitions like they did with Bethesda. I mean, they have so many studios now under Xbox Game Studios. I think what the important thing here to do is to focus on those game studios to make sure that there is a good development cycle, a consistent development cycle going forward for this generation of Xbox, so that we are getting new first party IPs on a consistent basis. So there's not a huge lag in first party games. I think that's the major focus right now at Xbox Game Studios, more so than going out and acquiring more IPs and more studios and all that kind of stuff. They need to solidify the really good foundation that is currently there so that the future of Xbox is just prosperous. And I think that's what they're doing. So we may hear IPs, we may hear acquisitions of stuff, probably going to be smaller stuff. If I was to take a guess at it, that's what I would say as well. It just makes a lot more sense. I would be so shocked, like extremely shocked to no end if we heard of some major studio acquisition or some major IP acquisition at E3. I think they want to focus on the stuff that they have now. So that's the biggest rumor, I think, right now going into this E3 showcase with Bethesda, and we'll see what comes out of it. Now, going back to what I think Xbox is going to show during this event. Firstly, the main one, Halo Infinite. I mean, that's going to be the biggest game of their show. It's going to be Halo Infinite because they're going to show it off. And I think they're going to show a bit of the campaign, and then they're going to go hard into the multiplayer because that's something that we haven't seen yet. And hopefully after they show it off, they will give us a beta to sign up for or a demo. And I think that is more likely now going to occur based off of this article here from WCCF Tech. And I think this is what Colt Eastwood had mentioned. So he is saying here that at the show, they are going to feature mainly multiplayer and a small glimpse into the campaign, and that they're going to show off some new multiplayer game modes, and it's going to be like a new large scale Battlefield inspired mode, which will include, it's bigger than anything else, because as we know within Halo there's already big team battle, right? But this new Battlefield inspired competitive and cooperative team based mode will have an arsenal of big vehicles, weapons across maps, and much larger than Halo has ever had. So that's exciting. I know for a lot of people, big team battle and the game modes within Halo with a lot of players running around doing stuff and having objectives and stuff like that is their favorite game mode. And if they're going to expand on that, maybe give us like 64 players or something, that I think will be very cool. 32 versus 32, and just have a massive long scaled brawl in a multiplayer mode, which is a change obviously from the classic arena game modes within Halo multiplayer, and something I'm definitely up for and would love to see. And then you'll have all the vehicles and all the weapons, and it'll just add just to the dynamic of Halo multiplayer and the crazy stuff that can happen. Like when you see those clips of just insane stuff happening within big team battle in Halo gameplay clips, like back with like Halo 2, Halo 3, a lot of Halo 3 stuff. I think with this expansion of this big Battlefield style conquest multiplayer mode, we're going to see a lot more cool stuff come out of that. So that's very exciting to see. Then when he talks about the campaign, he says here that they will show a small feature on the campaign, which is fine. I mean, we saw already the first trailer was the campaign with upgraded visuals, but he's also saying that testers are saying that Halo Infinite looks improved, but it's not mind-blowing top tier visuals. Now, this is something that I don't care about whatsoever. When they showed off Halo first last year, I thought the game looked good. I didn't think it was out of this world, mind-blowing. I didn't really care. I was looking at it for the actual gameplay. I was one of those people that came out of that initial trailer and thought, I am so pumped for Halo Infinite. This game looks so much fun with the grapple hook, and the gameplay looks tight, and I just can't wait to get my hands on it. And then hours later, because I didn't jump onto social media right away after it, but hours later, I go on social media and I see the Craig meme. I see the people just trashing the graphics and all this crazy stuff. People going through the trailer, literally stopping the trailer frame by frame to nitpick the graphics and just all the stupidity surrounding that. And I think that when 343 shows off Halo again, it's going to look better, but it's still going to get nitpicked. You're still going to have all of the people who create fake outrage going on social media. I like to call them the vocal minority, because they are the ones that are the loudest, which make people believe that it is the consensus amongst people as the like way that people think about something. But in general, there's such a small amount of percentage of people that just because they're the loudest, what they say has really no validity. So that's kind of the way I think about it. And I think like we're going to see that same thing happen after they show Halo again. You're going to have all of the people creating outrage, all the haters going on social media and saying that Halo looks like trash and all this kind of stuff, and just talking about the graphics. And these are the people that aren't going to ever play Halo as well. They're probably not even going to participate in a demo or a beta or anything that I think Microsoft is going to announce during the E3 show. And then you're going to have the majority of Halo fans, or the majority of people who just want to play a game or a new shooter, playing Halo and having a ton of fun. So the graphics and the visual fidelity, if it's important to an extent, but the main thing with Halo is the gameplay and how fun it is. And the first campaign trailer, I thought the gameplay looked like a ton of fun, and I'm very confident that going forward, when they show off Halo Infinite at this year's E3, I'm going to get that same sentiment as to how fun this looked. And it brings me back to Halo 5. So Halo 5 for me was like, I agree with the majority of people who thought that the campaign story wasn't very good and that we were deceived in the marketing leading up to the game. That was kind of annoying. But besides that, it's going to be hard to convince me that the gameplay within Halo 5 campaign wasn't fun. I had a great time playing the campaign. I didn't like the story. And then I thought that the multiplayer in Halo 5 was probably the best all-around multiplayer in the Halo franchise. So I see 343 building upon the gameplay from the campaign, expanding it out a bit with like a bigger map, not fully open world, but like the semi-open world that they've talked about with the added grapple hook. I think that's going to add a lot of interesting things that can be done during the campaign, a lot of verticality that you didn't have before within Halo, even though you still had like the jump and all that kind of stuff. But just in general, the being able to shoot your grapple hook at something, get up on top of a structure, or shoot your grapple hook and grab an enemy, or grab a grenade, or grab something explosive and then just shoot it at enemies and just create a bunch of interesting, crazy stuff to happen within the campaign. That's what I'm really excited for. And then I have full confidence that they're just going to build off of the Halo 5 campaign and make it even better than it was in Halo 5. And then the added part to it is that it's free to play, right? So with it being free to play, you instantly have millions and millions of people that are going to jump into Halo Infinite on day one because it's free to play. And I think that's just we're going to have a huge community. It's a game that's going to get a lot of feedback, and I think it's going to be able to get fine-tuned because so many people are going to be playing it that, yes, the game itself right away is going to need updates throughout the years, because with any online free-to-play multiplayer game, that happens, but it's going to eventually get to such a point where it's like almost like the perfect Halo multiplayer game. So I'm very excited for it. I'm really, really excited for Halo Infinite. Like I said, this is the game that I'm most excited about out of all of E3. Now, what else is interesting in this, so all these quotes I was talking about from this article was from Colt Eastwood, I believe, and apparently he also says that the multiplayer, or the game, may be released in September, so which is really cool. And I don't know what that means, if that means that they're going to release the online multiplayer in September and then the campaign may be later, because we heard that they may do that. But either way, whether it comes out in September or it comes out in November, I think it's fine. If it comes out in September, that's super close, so that's even more exciting. And they'll definitely have some sort of beta or demo leading up to the launch of the multiplayer. I mean, they'll have to, just to get people's opinions and be able to make changes before the full launch of the game. So I think Xbox is going to have a large segment dedicated towards Halo Infinite at this show, rightfully so, because it's going to be the main hitter in their entire show. I mean, it's the game that is the most complete, and it's the one that is pretty much ready to come out. And it's going to be the showcase for the Xbox Series X and S this holiday season. It's going to be the game that people want to go and buy an Xbox for. Now, after Halo, the next big game I think they're going to show off is going to be Starfield. And I don't think it matters when this game comes out, whether they're going to show it off or not. So I don't think it matters if it comes out in 2021, 2022, or 2023. I think they are going to give us a glimpse into the game. And we're finally going to get our first look into some gameplay of Starfield, what the story is about, what the whole premise of the game is. And it's going to create a lot of excitement and a lot of hype, because this is a brand new Bethesda game, a brand new RPG that, even though we haven't seen anything about this game yet, we just know it's coming from Todd Howard and coming from his mind. People are pumped about it. Like, people are excited. It's probably one of the most hyped up games right now within the video game industry. It's definitely one of the most controversial games when you think about it and you go on social media and you see the fighting back and forth between people. So it's going to be, I'm excited for it. I mean, it's a game, it's a space RPG. I like space RPGs. I'm playing through Mass Effect Legendary. Absolutely am loving it. So getting another RPG in that type of setting has me very excited. I think we'll get some gameplay and we'll get a release date at the very least, or a release window at the very least. I honestly think Starfield is close to completion. I mean, it's been in development, for 5-6 years now or something. And I think that they could potentially put it out this holiday season, but they may not want to oversaturate like Xbox and take away from Halo Infinite, take away from most likely Forza Horizon 5 and Psychonauts 2, all coming out within the same area of months. So maybe they're going to push it to early 2022 or even next holiday season. Maybe they want to have a massive game for holiday 2022, and they're going to give Starfield an extra year to make sure that it's completely polished when it comes out. That's one of the things when it comes to Starfield, is that Bethesda didn't want to make the same mistake that they did with Fallout 76 and release just an absolutely broken game. And I mean, in general, I think Bethesda's kind of known for releasing buggy games and then kind of fixing them up as they go. And I think with Starfield, they don't want to do that, as it is a brand new IP. They want to start off on the right foot and release a polished version of the game. So maybe they'll get that whole extra year and release it in holiday 2022. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. But at the same time, I don't think it is a big deal. I think this holiday season without Starfield for Xbox is completely fine with Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5. If that's all that we have this holiday season for the span of, let's say, September to December, I think that's more than enough more than enough big first party games on top of all of the Game Pass stuff that we're going to get to keep people excited and to want people and get people to go out and buy an Xbox. So we got Halo, we have Starfield, and then I think the next massive game that they are going to show off and announce a 2021 release date for is going to be Forza Horizon 5. Now this one almost seems like a sure bet based off of all of the rumors and leaks that have come out. And right now the game is rumored to be taking place in Mexico. We've seen the Hot Wheels cars for Forza Horizon get leaked, ones that aren't for sale yet, but on the packaging, it looks like in the background it is Mexico. And generally when a Forza Horizon game comes out, they release Hot Wheels cars with it. So I think they'll show off the game. They'll wow us with the visual fidelity of it, because I mean, Forza Horizon 4 looks incredible on the Series X, so Forza Horizon 5 is going to look even better. And then they'll give us like a launch date, maybe September. Like I think Forza Horizon 5 has a chance of coming out in September. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. And I think that's going to be a great thing. There are lots of Forza Horizon fans out there. It is a very big game within the Xbox ecosystem. Even right now, Forza Horizon 4, I'm sure, has still a massive player base. It sold really well on Steam as well when it came out on Steam. So that is awesome. And me personally, when it comes to Forza, I'm not like the biggest veteran to the series. I haven't played every single Forza. I haven't played every single Forza Horizon. Those type of racing games in general aren't always the first games I go to, but I think the main reason why I haven't gotten crazy into Forza is because I just haven't given the series enough of a chance. Because every single time I sit down and play Forza Horizon 4, I'm sucked in for like a couple of hours. I never have any regrets putting it on, and it's always a ton of fun. So I will definitely be looking forward to Forza Horizon 5. I will definitely be playing it right when it comes out. And I think Forza Horizon 5, I think, is going to be the Forza game that right away I give my attention to, and probably the one I put the most amount of time in once they show it off and release it and everything. So that's exciting. I know there are a ton of Forza Horizon fans out there. After Forza Horizon, I think the next big one they're going to show off and give us a release date for really in a really close time frame is going to be Psychonauts 2. Now, Psychonauts 2 is a game that I am very excited for. The first one is on Game Pass right now. If you haven't played it, I'd recommend go checking it out. The game itself, like the story and the characters and all that stuff, is super quirky. I absolutely love Raz. I just love the universe and everything of Psychonauts. So that has aged very well. The gameplay has aged decently well. It isn't like the most well-aged game out there. You may play it and you may not finish it all, but I think it's still worth checking out right now before Psychonauts 2 comes out, just to kind of get acquainted with how weird the game is and the main character and all that kind of stuff. But Psychonauts 2, man, I can't wait for the sequel. It's been such a long time. And from what they've been showing off with the 4K gameplay of Psychonauts 2, I think this game is going to, well, it already looks real, but I think when we have it live, it's going to look incredible. And I think it's going to surpass a lot of people's expectations of what the game is. I think you're going to get a lot of people who have never played the first one jumping into Psychonauts 2 and kind of falling in love with the universe and the characters and and the colors of the game, because it looks super colorful. So I'm really excited for Psychonauts 2. I hope this comes out this summer. There's a leak recently, I believe, that it was posted on a storefront for August 25th or something like that. But that's just like, that could just be semantics. It could just be like they put up another placeholder date for the game or whatever. So, but I'm sure that one's coming out this year. It's on track and everything from what we've been seeing. So I think they'll show it, give us another gameplay trailer, more so than they've already been giving us through the Game Informer videos, and they'll give us a release date where we won't have to wait that much longer to play it. So very excited for Psychonauts 2. Now, besides those games, I think they will give us a release date for Flight Simulator on the Xbox Series X, because I believe it's supposed to be coming out this summer. So I'm sure they will give us a release date that is relatively close. I know there are a lot of Flight Simulator fans out there. I am not that well versed in Flight Simulator recently. Like, I think like the last one I played was a very long time ago, like Flight Simulator 98 or something on Windows 98, like a very, very long time ago. But back in the day, like, that game was like revolutionary for its time, and it was very cool to just kind of play, even with the crappy graphics back then. Now with current Flight Simulator, it literally looks like real life. So I'll download it, I'll check it out and see what it's about. I thought they were going to show off Avowed. Like, I really think I still kind of do. It's hard because you have all of the leakers, you have all of the rumors out there that are, some are saying they're going to show it off, some are saying they aren't. I think they will. I mean, I think they'll give us something for Avowed. I think they know how big of a RPG this is going to be for Xbox and how excited people are, that maybe they'll give us like another cinematics trailer, or maybe they'll even give us a little bit of gameplay. I'm gonna go with the prediction, even though this is probably a bad prediction to make, because I think majority of the leakers and rumor people are saying that they aren't showing it. But they kind of went back and forth on that. I'm going to say they're going to show Avowed. I'm just going to go with that. I'm going to just go with that prediction because I really want to see it. If they don't, they don't. But I think they will, because of how popular and how big this show needs to be for Xbox. And I think that would be one way to really increase the, I guess you could say, score of the show, is if they show Avowed. I think they'll show off some more of the Ascent. I think they'll show off Stalker 2, which is another big timed exclusive for Xbox. We know we saw the thing with Stalker 2 where it was like a 3-month timed exclusive, but nobody really knows what that really means, because it came out in the Apple vs. Epic not leaked documents, but Apple vs. Epic documents for that case. And it says 3 months, and people don't know if that means it's 3 months exclusive just on Xbox, and then they're going to be able to bring it over to maybe like Gamepass for PC and stuff like that. I don't know, or they'll bring it over to the PS5. Who knows? But a lot of people want to play that game, and I think that they'll show off Stalker 2. And there's that Project Typhoon game that people are talking about, that nobody knows what it is, but it's apparently an open world co-op action game from a AAA partner studio. So maybe we'll get more information on that, and maybe they'll show it off. Who knows? I think that if one crazy announcement that could come that I would love to see, just because it would just be such a huge thing within the video game industry, is if we remember back couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago, all of the rumors about Kojima and Xbox going around with Ludens on Phil Spencer's shelf. Imagine if he came out this show and made that announcement that Kojima is making a game for Xbox and Xbox Game Pass, or even if Imagine Kojima showed up on the stream. I think that would be absolutely nuts. And I'm not even a major Kojima fan. Like, I liked Metal Gear Solid. I like Metal Gear Solid games, but I really hated Death Stranding. It's one of my least favorite games that I've ever experienced. If I could go back, I would have never played 10 hours of that game. But other than that, I just think that, like, if Kojima were to make a exclusive game to Xbox, it would be such a paradigm shift in the video game industry, because I think the majority of people who love Kojima, who are rabid fans, are people on PlayStation. So if they announce some sort of partnership with Kojima where he's going to release his next big IP on an Xbox console and it comes to Xbox Game Pass, I think that would just be like a mic drop moment for Xbox and for the entire show. So then there's also all of the other Xbox Game Studios games that people want to know about, right? Like State of Decay 3, Everwild, the next Fable Some more stuff coming from all the Bethesda studios like Wolfenstein 3, Indiana Jones. What's going to be happening with Tango Gameworks and Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop? When are those games going to be coming to Xbox? Maybe they'll talk about that. Doubtful on that part because they still haven't even come out for PlayStation yet. So, but maybe they will. Perfect Dark. Are they going to show us some more Perfect Dark? I mean, there's so many games in the works. Like, it's hard to remember every single game that is being worked on at Xbox Game Studios. Hellblade 2. Are they going to show Hellblade 2? I think they will show Hellblade 2. I think they will give us a graphical showcase of what the Xbox Series X can do, and it's going to be done through Hellblade 2. And it's going to blow people away based off of what we know about this game and what Ninja Theory is doing graphically, and that they're really trying to make this game like one of the best graphical showcases out there. Mojang Studios, like Minecraft stuff, probably going to get more Minecraft stuff. There's just so much. Age of Empires 4. I mean, that's one they're definitely going to be showing off at E3, Age of Empires 4. And for a lot of people, that's like a massive game. Like, that's a game that they've been waiting for, and it's going to be probably one of their favorite games of the year. So there's just so much. But what I think that they need to do, rather than just they need to show off like a lot of games, but I think what they need to do with all of these studios and all of the games under Xbox Game Studios is give us a roadmap of just when we can sort of start thinking about expecting these games, and just create a somewhat of a timeline for people to be able to put their finger on. Because right now within Xbox, we know they have a ton of studios. And if you're somebody who is, I would say, logical is probably the best word to say it, you understand that it takes a long time to get all of these studios cohesive under Xbox Game Studios to create these big AAA games and to start releasing them like a well-oiled machine. It's not going to happen right away, right? Like, they just got Bethesda and everything. So I would say in the next few years, we're going to start to see like constant first-party games, and maybe give us kind of like a overview and an outlook on when we can start expecting that consistency. And then finally, after showing off like just a ton of games, I think we're going to see some Game Pass and some backwards compatibility stuff. Now, my thinking on this is kind of, I still think it's going to happen at E3, but I'm just sort of confused right now based off of what I talked about at the beginning of the show, where it seems like there's going to be a Game Pass Fest on June 7th and 8th. Depending on what they show off there, I doubt they're going to double down on that at E3, and which makes me start to believe that like there's going to be so many games being shown off at the E3 showcase that they had to start a Game Pass Fest before the showcase so that they don't have to put that into the main E3 showcase, which would be absolutely crazy. But I feel like there are going to be still some big Game Pass announcements at this year's E3, like third-party games coming to Game Pass on day one that are going to be releasing at full price on other platforms. I think we're going to get more announcements for games coming in June and July, or at least June, that we're going to be able to jump into right away while we wait for the big first party games like Halo coming out later on in the year. And then I think we're just going to get a slate of like quality of life announcements and like the FPS boost and auto HDR stuff coming to more backwards compatible games. Again, which will allow us to go in and start playing games right now to entertain us while we wait for all of these big first party games. So I think overall, there's just going to be so much content from this show that we're going to be able to look forward to now in 2021, in 2022, and then beyond that. So it's such a big moment for Xbox, and no matter what they do, there's going to be the haters and there's going to be the people that think they do fine. For me personally, and I think for the majority of people out there, if they give us a 2021 release date for Halo Infinite, which they will, it's coming out this year, and for Forza Horizon 5, which I strongly believe, and on top of that, Psychonauts 2 coming out probably this summer sometime or early in the holiday season, I think that's 3 massive games that we have to look forward to coming right to Xbox Game Pass on day one, which is more than enough to hold people over going into 2022. And then they add on to the fact that Starfield is going to be coming out. They give us gameplay and they just give us content to look forward to and be excited about in the future, and content to jump into right now on Game Pass and through backwards compatibility. I think that's going to be more than enough at this show to impress people and to entice people to go out and buy an Xbox Series X and S. And I'm sure there's going to be other surprises out there that, I mean, I have no idea about, and a lot of people have no idea about. And I hope there is like maybe one or two just massive things that nobody has heard about yet. Like there's so many leaks and rumors out there. I really hope that there's at least one or two things that people don't know about yet, and they just blow it out of the water. Like they blow us away with what we can expect from Xbox and from Xbox Game Pass. I am like 10 out of 10 excited for this show. I know the industry is, everyone's going to have eyes on this show. Whether you love Xbox, hate Xbox, or just a neutral fan, everyone's going to be watching this show. I think it's the most important show of all of E3. I think it's the most important show of Xbox. And a lot of people are going to be sitting, a lot of PlayStation fanboys are going to be sitting there hoping that they fail. And at the end of the day, no matter what, there's going to be good, there's going to be bad, and there's going to be people that love it and people that hate it. But it's just going to be a fun time, an exciting time within the video game industry. So I'm going to be streaming it for sure. I'm going to be streaming the entire show. I'm going to have to wait and see what this Xbox Game Pass Fest is tomorrow. I guess because it's Sunday. So June 7th, tomorrow and Tuesday before Games Fest Live on the 10th. And maybe we'll get some early big announcements coming for Game Pass in June and beyond. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna end that there. This it's an exciting time. Like I said, let me know everything that you guys want to see at E3, what you think Xbox is going to show. Do you think they're going to do well? Do you think they're going to do bad? And yeah, make sure to tune into my channel all week. I will be streaming and potentially doing just like daily videos as well. If I have time. I know there's going to be a lot of streams, so maybe that will suffice for the news and everything. Next Sunday obviously is going to be the Xbox show, so I'll be streaming that. So I won't be doing this podcast because that's going to be my main focus. But thank you guys again all for coming out, listening, watching, and all the support you have been showing me. My channel is doing really well. So, and I never thought I'd get to this point, to be completely honest, for the amount of time I've been making videos and to see how much I've grown in the last year. And it's all because of your guys' support. And I see all the people in the comments who just continue to support me. And I really, really do appreciate it. I know everyone on YouTube says that and you may think it's not genuine or genuine, however you say it. I say words weirdly. Like I got picked on. I don't take any offense, by the way, to anything people say. So you can say whatever you want to me. I could not care less. But I got picked on for saying vermintide, verminitude. I don't know why I kept saying verminitude in one of my videos this week, but I did. But anyways, guys, just all that to say, thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. And I will catch you hopefully in my streams this week. If not, in my videos and in the VODs. I'll probably keep all those streams live on my channel. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.